Hey y'all, it's Alicia with You and Me Farms, and today we are going to do something really fun and really simple. We are going to be making whipped herb butter and whipped honey butter. So we've got 2 bowls here, fun herbs, fun honey, and we're going to make this butter and it's going to be really pretty. So I hope y'all will join me for doing something a little fun, over the top for the next time you have someone sitting at your dinner table, just for fun. Okay, so to get started, we are going to go with our herbed butter first, and we're gonna do that on this side. Today we have this beautiful dill that I just picked fresh from the garden. We are so lucky, y'all. It is January, the last day of January, and we are still harvesting this gorgeous, gorgeous garden up there. Our goats are actually pulling down all the extras right now so that we can get ready to start planting our spring garden. But until then, we are still able to harvest all of this beautiful stuff. So we've got these beautiful herbs here today. We're doing dill. We'll do a little bit of sea salt to go along with that in this one. Just a little something fun. We're elevating a dinner party and just something a little different, because you could have butter, you could just put butter on the table and everybody would be perfectly happy with that. But when you go that extra step and put in a little something extra, it's just really amazing. So I think that I'm going to do a whole one of these for the herb and a whole one of these for the honey. So I am going to gather the amount of herbs that I think look just about right for this. And it looks like the fresh herbs anyway, it's shaping up to be about a cup worth. Now obviously our cup's not going to be real smushed down, so we want it to be kind of nice and fluffy, but we have about a cup or maybe a good big handful or 2 handfuls of our fresh dill right there. And that looks about right to go with our butter. We can always add more or less to taste, whatever you like. And I'm just going to take this and give it a good little rough chop so that we can blend it in with our little hand mixer here. And this will just break down the herbs. It'll open up those beautiful capillaries that the herbs have, which brings out all the scent and all the flavor. We'll cross chop those a little so we don't end up with any big woody pieces. And I tried to pick out the big stems here. I didn't really want that in my butter. Nobody wants to chomp down on this big thing. We just want those beautiful, delicate leaves at the end. So if you see any really big pieces that were left in between the stems, go ahead and pull those out, just because that doesn't, again, not really fun to chomp down on that in the middle of a really nice smooth butter. So of course you can obviously do this on the front end, being a little more careful to pull those out as well. But there's just a few in here, so I'm just gonna grab those couple of pieces, parcel through there, make sure there's no more big ones, and we are good to go. That looks perfect. Okay, now nice fresh chopped herbs. Bring that down just a little bit more. Got a couple of big pieces hanging out in there, long leaves and such. Okay, and then we will get rid of these guys over there, and we'll take our trusty little flexible cutting board and put all of that right in the bowl. There we go, just that easy. That'll be the base for our herb butter. Now we'll take our butter itself, and we're gonna go with a whole pound and break it down a little bit. If you are getting this from the grocery store, the likelihood is you're going to get it in segments that look a little bit more like this. They usually come in ½ a cup blocks, just like that. And so that's, our butter just comes this way. It's a little bit bigger, so I break it down a little more like that. And then just to make it a little easier on my mixer, I'll cut it down even a little bit more. I've had this butter out softening for the last hour or two. And as you can see, it's nice and soft. That's the consistency that you want right there. When you put your finger in it, it presses down nicely. It doesn't melt. It's not melted butter, it's just softened butter. So that's what we're looking for right there. Break it down a little bit. It'll make it nice and easy for your blender to work with. Okay. Now you could of course use any kind of herb that you want in here. Rosemary is excellent. We do one that's kind of a mixed herb that has rosemary, cilantro, dill, and mint, and that's really fun too. But today we're just going with dill because it is so beautiful in the garden, and I like to utilize what we have fresh on hand and in season. So there we have it. And scoop all that good butter and any last little bits of dill that were on that board right into our bowl. Okay, now we are going to add a little salt to that. We buy unsalted butter, so we want to be able to control the amount of salt that's in there ourselves. And so we put it in as we go so we can taste it. If you prefer to buy salted butter, probably skip this step because it would be way too salty otherwise. So we're just gonna use maybe 2 pinches to start. We can always add more, but you can never take it out. So don't oversalt your things. Taste and then taste again. Okay, so there we have it. I'm gonna scooch that over just a little bit. And we will go ahead and mix this up. All right, now for the mixing part. So we've got our salt, our dill, and our butter in our bowl. We're going to use our handy little hand mixer here. We can absolutely use a stand mixer as well, whatever you have on hand. I just happen to be over here and this is a little bit easier, so this is what I'm going to use. I like to start everything with my hand mixer on the lowest setting that it can go. You can always turn it up, but you don't want it splattering all over and making a mess. So start with the lowest one and keep it nice and low down in your bowl, and then we'll get it all mixed up until it's nice and smooth and creamy. Then we'll give it a little taste to make sure that it's not too salty or not unsalty enough, and then we'll finish tasting from there. Just a little bit. As that butter is all sticking in there, you want to blend it a little more. And then I'm going to turn it on high so that all that butter can come out of the mixer. Okay. There we go. Otherwise, before, if we hadn't turned it on high, it was all kind of clumped in there together. So we turned it on high for just a moment, keeping it, again, held low in the bowl. Now we got a little bit out, but not too much. One little splatter is no big deal. So we are going to get our little tasting spoon, give this a sample, and see how we do. Now I know you wouldn't normally just sample straight butter. However, we want to make sure that it's coming out just right. It's just teeniest little tiny bit. The herbs are perfect, but there's not anywhere near enough salt. So go ahead and add more in. Like I said, we can always add more. We can't take it out. 1, 2, and then I think I'm gonna do a third, just to have there. We had a lot of butter, so it's perfectly fine. We'll go back in and mix it up a little bit more, taste one more time, and we should be there. Yes. So that's just pulling out the flavor in our herbs, in the butter itself. It'll be perfect spread on those beautiful, nice, fluffy rolls that we'll be serving. And this one is done. So what we're gonna do from here is I'm gonna get a scraper and scrape this all down. We're going to put this into a pastry bag with a piping tip on it. And then we're going to go ahead and pipe it into our plates and bowls over here so that we have a good, beautiful presentation. And then once we put it in the refrigerator, it will actually harden up in that shape so that when we're ready to serve it, it looks really pretty, as well as all the colors that are going on in there. And then we'll scoot right over and do our honey butter as well. Okay, so we got our herb butter all into our pastry bag as we have it here. Our pastry tip is in the end. And what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna cut around that end, not too far up the pastry tip because you don't want to squeeze it and have it come popping out on you, but you wanna be able to have the air pressed down so you can move your, move your butter down your back. Now butter's a little slippery, so as you saw, it just kind of went everywhere. Anyway, once you get it moved down a little bit, you can twist the top and then it moves down really fast. Just because it's not kind of coming back on you. Give it another nice little push down there. You can even use the back of your knife if it's being a little stubborn. It's not really, but just to show you kind of what that looks like. You can use the back of your knife to kind of scrape it down there. Always be sure to give it a couple of twists so it doesn't come back up the pastry bag. And as you're twisting, of course, also it helps bring it right down to the end of your tip, which is right where you want it to be. You can find these pastry bags at any cake decorating store, Michael's, probably Hobby Lobby, any place that has like a cake department, Joanne Fabrics, things like that, where they have that cake decorating section. And you can find these pastry bags there. The pastry tips as well, get a little variety, have some fun with it. They're really easy to find and really easy to use. And then all we're gonna do after that is we're going to pipe it right onto these cute little plates that we have so that we can place them down the table and have that really pretty herbed butter going right on the plate. So we'll give this a good little squeeze. And as we're working the butter as well, it's warming it just that little bit more with our hands to come out of the pastry tip really nicely. And there we have it. And we can pipe little flowers or, you know, rosettes or whatever you like, whatever your pastry tip will do for you. So we'll just keep on whipping out a couple of those and it'll look really pretty on our plate. Okay, and it was just that easy. As you can see, we have our little piped out cute butter with all that beautiful dill right in there. Makes a nice little pretty palette. We've got those ready to go. We'll pop those in the refrigerator and they'll be nice and firm when we're ready to go. Now we can then choose to bring it out and bring it to room temperature or even serve it a little bit chilled, whichever is easier and whatever looks good on your table. But here's our finished product of our pastry bag with our herbed butter in there, and we'll do the same with our honey butter. So I've got all the cubes already ready right here. We're just gonna pop them in our bowl. I'm gonna grab myself a spatula. So make sure we get all that good butter in there. There we go. And then we are gonna go ahead and use all of this honey that's in here. It's about 3/4 of a cup. And we wanna make sure that all that lovely flavor gets in there. And we are going to put a little bit of salt in here as well, because that will again bring out the flavor in that. Being unsalted butter, it won't have any of that already in there. So once that honey finish is in there, we will get our mixer going and do just the same as we did before. Mix it all the way until it's nice and smooth. Give it a little taste, and then we'll put it in our pastry bag and pipe it into these cute little bowls, and we'll be ready to go. There we go. We will get this last little bit zipped up on our fast motion so y'all can see it all coming together, and we'll be right back. And there we are, just that simple. We have two very beautiful presentations for whipped butter, herbed butter, or honey butter, a little bit of both, to serve at your next dinner party or brunch and elevate your plate just a little bit more. I hope y'all have had a fun time joining me today. I hope y'all give this a try. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you use in there, what kind of herbs or spices or seasonings. Cinnamon is a great option as well. So try it out, see what you think. You can't hurt it, it's butter, it's wonderful, and it'll be really fun and your guests will get a huge kick out of it. So can't wait to hear from you. Like, subscribe, come back, watch us again, and we'll see you next time on You and Me Farms.